Hey everybody, it's Autumn, CEO of Autumn's Harvest, here to talk about herbs, health, and healing. And I've realized that lately I've been talking about a lot of tinctures, and I've even been talking about herbal oils, but I want to take a step back, and I want to be able to go a little bit further back to the beginning, right? I'm actually holding here my afternoon tea, which was the very first blend that I ever made for the public, which was actually for some of my friends about 5-6 years ago. I want to say. Smells absolutely floral. But I wanted to kind of take a step back and get a little bit more Herbal Remedies 101 and be able to talk about today teas and why I love teas so much. So teas really are the first go-to when I'm working with somebody who needs some therapeutic support, right? So I love teas because you can mix a number of herbs together to be able to have, especially within the herbalism that I practice, you can mix, Western versus Eastern. You can mix a lot of different herbs and be able to deal with a lot of different, let me back up. You can support different therapeutic needs of the body with one tea, which I think is really amazing, so that you can be able to help with a lot of different symptoms that somebody's having. Because I know whenever I work with folks, a lot of them are kind of frustrated with the allopathic medicine and they're being bounced from doctor to doctor. And so to have somebody listen to them as a whole person and be able to possibly provide something that treats them as a whole person is a really great gift to be able to give. So when we're talking about herbal teas, so that's why I really start with teas, and you've guys seen me talk about tinctures, which are an alcohol extract of the teas, so basically having the same therapeutic principle, but an easier way to be able to dose those via a tincture, an alcohol extract, or there's other extraction methods, but we're not talking about tinctures today. So teas. I wanted to talk about the difference between infusion and decoction, because I've had some folks asking, are they hurting the herb by doing it certain ways, and how can I get the most really therapeutic value out of different herbs, right, and different parts of the plant too. So that's where it really comes into play. So let's start with the basics of an infusion versus a decoction, right? So an infusion is going to be when you're taking the softer parts of the plant. Very similar to this afternoon floral tea that I have. So we are going to be talking about the leaves. We're going to be talking about the flowers, the very, very delicate parts of the plant. So that's where an infusion comes into play. And it's probably what you are typically thinking about when you're making herbal or tea in general, right? You're going to get the water up to simmering, and then you're going to pour it over the herb and let it be able to sit there. Commercial teas are usually like 3 to 5 minutes of doing the infusion, but for the kind of herbs that I work with, which are cut and sifted, so these are going to need a little bit longer. So I usually do those about 15 minutes, steeping those, because like this is a whole chamomile flower, right? So you want to be able to pull those different constituents out in the appropriate way. And so the softer parts of the plant, the flower and the leaves, you're going to be using an infusion. And I want to show you, I'm not going to fully demo, but I'm going to show you what I use to do that. So I have a copious amount of mason jars in my house. And so I love to brew in a mason jar. It's tempered, so it's intended not to break when you put hot stuff in it, right? I've only had one break, and I think there was already an underlying crack that I had made in it. So years of safety kind of tested. So what I do is I use one of these strainers. It's just a stainless steel strainer, and so what I like to do is I like to put the actual loose herb in here. Often you're going to be doing 1 to 2 table or spoonfuls, depending on the flavor that you want and the therapeutic value that you want inside of a jar. I've been known to put 3 or 4 spoonfuls if I like the flavor of a tea and I'm really looking for the therapeutic value. And so you're going to be putting the dried herb in. What I do is I put the simmering water all the way up to this 1-inch lip here at the top, and I just let the herbs float. I did a video on Facebook Live like last week how I do bath tea, same thing. So I put the herbs in here and I let them float around because I want them to get the surface area and everything to really get the constituents pulled out, right? And then when I actually strain it, I'll put this in another mason jar. I'll just pour this in, use a spoon, and squeeze all the flowers and the leaves to get the last of that tea out, because that's sometimes where it's the most concentrated, right? And you often want to I'll put a little mason jar lid just to keep it from the essential oils and things escaping while I am infusing it. So again, the infusion for leaf and flowers is going to be 15 minutes floating in just simmering water. I take it off, put it in here, and let it sit 15 minutes. I've also been known to let it, certain things infuse overnight, like nettles will bring out whole different constituents and in different ways the longer that you let it infuse. I did that with my dad's cancer tea. Let that kind of infuse overnight after I did a decoction. So you can actually treat it twice. But next we're going to talk about decoctions, if you've never heard of that. D-E-C-O-C-T-I-O-N. I'm not the best speller, but I believe that's how you spell it. So a decoction is going to be when you're talking about the harder parts, right? Roots, barks, berries, and stems, right? So here we have some cinnamon, which smells amazing. But also you can make a tea formula, right? So tea formulas do not have to be even. They can be kind of what you're looking for. They can be a flavor profile, medicinal profile, kind of what you're looking for, right? So this is my liver love tea that I have here. And so this is a mix of different roots, barks, berries, and stems. So really what you're going to do with the roots, barks, berries, and stems, you're going to do a decoction. And so a decoction is where you actually take a couple spoonfuls, or depending on the amount that you're making, and then you put it in a saucepan and you get that up to simmering and you allow it to simmer for 20 minutes. Because you need that longer time and that more heat in order to pull the constituents out of these harder parts of the plant, right? So that's when a lot of times you'll want to have, if you have certain herbs and you want them to be able to be utilized in a mix for somebody, sometimes you'll make an infusion tea and a decoction tea and then pour them together. Because if you do a decoction on infusion intended herbs, you're going to pull too much out, you're going to possibly hurt them, right? Not get the right constituents that you want. So that's kind of, let me see, is there anything else as far as infusions and decoctions? I mean, that's just the difference in the basics, right? So when you're going to be making an herbal syrup, you want to be able to utilize the infusion method, maybe even at first, letting the herbs sit in there and then decocting it on the stove. So there's some methods where you may even do two in order to pull more out. But infusions and decoctions are the way that I start folks out. And then if after, you know, a month or two, the tea is working for them, then we can go ahead and transition to a tincture, which will be a concentrated extract in which a dropper full or two of tincture equals a cup of tea. So it's a much easier way to dose on the go, and a lot of my clients are very busy entrepreneurs and lawyers and things, so it absolutely helps to be able to just put it in your pocketbook or in your briefcase and be able to take it with you on the go. So yeah, let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you guys have any other questions as far as infusions and decoctions. It looks like Allison's on. Hi. We have Pam. Hi. In Denver, I bet it's a lot cooler there. Our first cool front is barely a cool front, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and take what I can get, right? It looks like Danelia, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. That's a beautiful name, though. And we have Beth here. So thank you guys so much for being here. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you want me to continue to get into the beginners' herbs and things like that. So, and how to use them. I love to teach beginners, and I love to ignite that passion to be able to help heal yourself and your friends and family. So, with ancient ways from our ancestors, so it's a beautiful art that we don't want to lose. So yeah, until next time, I just wanted to pop in. It just kind of came in my head. I was like, okay, I've got a lot of questions about infusions and decoctions. Let's go ahead and put this all together. I hope everybody's had a really good week. I've had a lot of people say that it's been a pretty heavy energy-wise week, so that I hope that it's been pretty good for you guys. Yeah, and other than that, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And yeah, if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know your favorite infusion or decoction. And let me know where you're watching from. I love to hear kind of all the different places that people are hailing from to be able to learn about herbal medicine and herbs, health, and healing. So again, Autumn, CEO of Autumn's Harvest. And yeah, love and light until next time. Bye, everybody.